Okay. The question: why is there suffering if God exists? Okay. Well, here's my 2 cents. Point number 1. God suffers as well. That's what you got to remember. God is not separate from me. He's not like up in the sky watching, sitting on a cloud or something. God is inside us and feels what we feel and knows what we think, and the more you become aware of that, which starts with just simply just saying, okay, I'm going to acknowledge that fact. The closer you become to God, and the closer you get to, you're not feeling it all alone anymore. You're like, if you get the sense that you're being acknowledged and you're being acknowledged, and then God gets the feel. God feels that it multiplies. God feels acknowledged, and God likes that. That's why atheism kind of is not the best way to think, because it's all too logical and doesn't allow for the irrational and the emotion and spirituality to be expressed, because of kind of the worshipping almost of logic, which can get in the way. Of course, it's a piece to the puzzle that we need, but if it's getting in the way of all these other spiritual and religious aspects of life, then it's not everything. So God feels what we feel. God has feelings as well. God suffers with us. So, you think of it like a child. If you got a child, I don't have kids, but hypothetically, you think about a kid, I fucking feel, if he breaks his leg or something, you go, fuck, man. I feel bad for like God, we are God's children. God feels that. God feels what we feel. Empathizes. Empathy is divine empathy or something in a way. The children dying of diseases and cancer, and the victims of natural disasters, and that sort of thing pops up with this question a lot. Natural suffering, not the free will of other people causing harm, but the earth naturally causing harm. Well, I guess that's just like the ecosystem, right? And the earth is. If we were living fully in sync with the earth, and I have a resource-based economy thing going, where we're you working with the fucking ecosystem, there would be less of that. Like I said before, God has feelings. God, maybe you can even think of God as like the guy, like the spirit of nature, or in a way, that's one way to think of God, to get you out of the concept of he's sitting on a cloud and fucking combing his beard or something. God could be a tree. God could be a fucking plant, a flower. God, So what was I thinking? So God getting angry, or God being upset with people, atheists, the atheist epidemic, and people just refusing to acknowledge that he exists. That would piss me off if I was God and he's created this whole fucking awesome thing that's so intricate and so balanced that it just perfectly works. Almost perfectly. And then you just refuse to even acknowledge that the creator exists. That would piss me off. So in a way, one way I thought of explaining the natural disasters was that's God's way of expressing his anger, expressing his. I say he. That's like a biblical fucking perspective, which I can't adopt because I can't. Yeah, I can't sort of intellectualize the full capacity of what God is. That would be impossible. But in my limited understanding, I refer to God as a he. So yeah, God getting angry. Put simply, God getting angry can be expressed through disease, through natural disaster, and through all that stuff. People think, why doesn't he heal the sick or sick children? That requires divine intervention, right? Divine intervention requires a lot of energy and a lot of planning and a lot of things to align that need to align. That's where the divine planning comes in. Things that need to align like that. And that creates a karmic debt which needs to be paid. And like I would explain, like it's as simple as that. The physics of the drumstick, kinetic motion. It's going that way. It hits something and it bounces back. That's it's not complex. It's simple. That's a really easy way to the tea in this cup was really hot, and the heat dissolved into the material of the cup, and that's not karma, but it's a good demonstration of energies and chemistry. Like karmic debt is like the chemistry of the spiritual world. There's an opposing reaction. There's always an opposite end of the pendulum. The pendulum swings equally in the opposite direction, and that's the same with the divine intervention. It's going to be forces that oppose karmic divine divinity. There's opposing forces to divinity. So to answer the question, why doesn't God heal sick kids, blah, 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 well, because that's very difficult to do, and more to the fact he does, just not in every single case, because that's just too fucking difficult to do. We'd be in a perfect world, and what the fuck would that be like? Why would we want that? Well, I guess intellectually you can think, but it doesn't make sense. I mean, obviously we want that, but it doesn't make sense. Wouldn't work karmically or physically or chemically. That would not be possible. Okay. What else have I got here? Give me a moment if there's that much. Okay, this is yeah. I think I made every point I wanted to make. I hope I did. Fuck yeah. God bless. As an additional thought, why is there suffering? Why does God allow suffering? Well, a great example would be something similar to when Jesus was tested 40 days in the desert or something like that. I'm not great on my Bible information, but the story was like he gets tested by God by being in the desert and Satan appearing to him and saying, "Why don't you come with me?" Testing him. and he comes up with ways of getting rid of Satan and saying, basically he's saying, no, I'm with God, I'm not going with you, blah, blah, blah. So why is it suffering? Well, to test people, to test their character, and to test their faith, and to test how fucking what's the word? How fucking with him they are, how dedicated they are to him and to God and to themselves and to their lives, or whatever he's testing you on is. There you go. There's a real simple example of one of the reasons there is suffering. It's a test. That's simple.